Hi, my name is Mark Brunton. I'm the Operations Section Chief for CAL FIRE Incident Management Team 3. I'm going to go ahead and brief on the CZU Lightning Complex for today. So again, our North Zone is looking really good. Today we had a lot of great success. The fire in Division Gulf and Kilo really mitigated. The fire is burned down to our control lines. We're in active patrol status, and that's not 100% completely out, but it is darn near close, and it's in an area that we feel very comfortable we're going to be able to hold that. So that will continue, discontinue any sort of spread towards Highway 35 and towards Santa Clara County. So we've really done a good job buttoning that up. As we move into the Branch 1 area, into Echo, Butano, and any sort of threat to Loma Mar, again, it's slowly moving downhill. It's going where we want it to go, moving into a creek bed, which we're using as a control line. So that's continuing to move its way down. It is putting up some smoke, maybe a little bit of visible flame, but that's all right. That's what we want it to do, so that once we get down to the creek line, then we can take advantage of that and get our crews in there to fully suppress that. So we're getting very close to that being buttoned up as well. That gives us protection for the communities of Pescadero, La Honda, Loma Mar. Moving down the coast, some of this is self-mitigated. Some of it is also burning into areas that we want it to burn into for control status. So there might be some visible flames, but that's looking really good, and we're really, very comfortable with that. Davenport, same thing. That community is still well protected, and again, just letting the fire burn into our control lines. It's going to be a slow, tedious process, especially with the winds that have been blowing onshore. It's keeping it from just burning slowly into the lines, so it's just holding it up. Once that subsides, then it'll do exactly what we want, and that'll help button that up and extinguish that fire. Moving down to the south, we still have really good containment lines established in the south. We've had a lot of the fire that's burned its way down into those containment lines and is self-extinguishing, so it's doing exactly what we want. We still have our secondary containment line between Highway 1 and Highway 9. That's a good backstop for us if anything was to come out, but we're very comfortable and very confident that that's going to hold and do what we want it to do. Moving up into the Highway 9 corridor, we are finished some burning operations around Felton, and that's given us a lot of protection for that community. We are currently constructing some control lines, and then we'll anticipate doing a burn operation sometime around Thursday, just looking at the weather where it's going to be most advantageous and where we'll get the best production rate for that. And once that is done, that'll give us a very good, solid control point around the community of Felton, and that'll pretty much finish up putting line in and protecting that community. So that'll give us a solid line of protection. Moving up towards Ben Lomond, again, really tough terrain to work in. We're letting the fire work its way down. We're putting in the control lines. Again, that's going to be a slow process as it burns its way down into, and then for us to take advantage of finishing up that part of the line. As we're moving up past Ben Lomond, Boulder Creek, fire is up into the upper part of the hillside. We're just going to have to get in there and be able to put line directly where we can put it, but some of it, again, is letting it work its way down and just monitoring that progress as we go. Interior, Bonnie Doon, looking a lot better. Just up there a couple hours ago, a lot of the smokes are gone. A lot of the active fire and flame is gone. We have folks continuing to work in there diligently. We have crews going in there to take care of the infrastructure, clearing the roads, starting to do assessments and starting to do repairs on power lines and other infrastructural needs. So that's a good work in progress, and that's starting to move its way back into getting closer towards a repopulation. So as soon as we can and make it safe, we're letting those crews get in there to get things back to normal, so that when we're ready to repopulate, that people can go in there, are going to have power, they're going to have water, they're going to have all those things that they need to be comfortable moving back into their homes. Our aircraft, again, great air today, so we've been flying all day. Don't have the latest numbers at this point in time as to how many gallons dropped, but I believe that we are going to be very close to having dropped the same amount of water that we did yesterday, which was about 200,000 gallons. And then what we call timing out our aircraft, that means flying them to the maximum amount of time that we can actually fly them. And that's critical because that's success. That's getting in there and supporting our ground troops and helping extinguish the hot spots throughout. So a lot of good work there. Again, some questions about some of the little symbology on the map and what that explains. Just to go over that again, basically these three unique items, those represent unique safety hazards. Some of those are natural, some of those are man-made hazards. And so by denoting these, that lets our crews that are on the ground know that when they're working in that area that there is some sort of potential hazard. And then that hazard is identified through their line officers, the fireground commanders that are there to identify and take care of any sort of issues and to mitigate any issues that cause any sort of potential safety concerns for those personnel. If you see something that has a DP, what does that mean in a number? That stands for drop point, and basically those are cache areas, so to speak. That's where we go and we can put equipment such as hose or drinking water or any other things that the crews might need while working out there instead of having come all the way to the incident base, that we can go and drop them off at these drop points and have them available as those supplies for the firefighters as they need them. You see something called a dip, and those are just water sources that our helicopters can go and drop their buckets into or their snorkels to fill the tanks of the helicopters so they could have a quick turnaround, drop their load of water to where they need to do, get quickly back to that site and draw water out of it. So these typically are large ponds, lakes, some sort of water source like that. So we have a number of dip sites throughout that we identify so that our helicopters don't have to do long travel times to go and refill. So it's quick turnarounds, and that's what we're looking for as far as for production rates of extinguishing the fire. These circles with an X typically stand for the origin or the beginning of the fire, and what these ones in particular stand for are the lightning strikes that did not get engulfed and become the main fire, but they were from the original lightning that occurred well over a week ago. And so they are in a status where we go and we patrol them. So we send out some engine resources such as engines or so forth, check on those on a daily basis, make sure they're still extinguished. If they are smoking or smoldering, continue to mop up until they're fully extinguished. And once they're fully extinguished, we put them into a control status, which means fire is completely out and we don't have to go back and check those anymore. So that's basically pretty much it as far as some of the symbology that we haven't addressed or we have addressed in the past for your knowledge. And again, we're making really good progress with the weather that we're seeing coming up and through this week. We're going to continue to make a lot of great progress. We are seeing some weather this weekend that's going to be warmer and drier with some winds to it, but we have forecasted that out. We are prepared. We've created a good strategy to work with that, and I feel very confident that we're going to be able to weather that upcoming event without any sort of issues, and we'll continue to make progress in extinguishing this fire. Thank you.